Welcome to the Create section. In this section, we're going to be seeing how we go about creating nodes, relationships, and the properties on nodes and relationships. We're going to be starting off in this lecture by seeing how we go about creating nodes. The first thing that we should do before we begin is to go into the Favorites section and go and use the Delete Everything script to delete all the nodes and relationships in our database. Once you've done that, we're ready to get started. So the way that we go about creating nodes looks very similar to the way that we go about matching nodes. Instead of using the match keyword, however, we're going to be using the create keyword. And the simplest way that we can create a node is to write create and put in a pair of round brackets straight after it. If you execute that, it'll go ahead and create a node. And this node has 0 labels and it has no properties. So if we go and do a match and match any node, returning that node, you'll see that we get a blank node here. The only property that it seems to have, if we have a look in this section down the bottom, is that it has an ID. And this is an auto-assigned ID by Neo4j. You have to watch out with these IDs, however, because if you delete nodes and relationships, these IDs can be reassigned to new nodes and new relationships. The way that we'd go about finding this node in particular is to do a match node where, and we'd use the ID function to find the ID of the node and then write in the ID. So this one is 346. So 346, if we go ahead and return that node, you'll see that we get this one back. Next up, I want to show you how we go about creating nodes that have labels. So we've seen how we go and create an anonymous node that has no labels and no properties. If we want a label, just like the match clause, we'll do a colon and then put the label name. So if we're creating, say, a cat, we could actually give it a label of cat. And if we create that and then do a match on all nodes, let's do return node, then you'll see that we get, so that has no labels or properties. But this one here, you can see that it has a label of cat. You can also give nodes multiple labels. So if we've got a cat, we could also give it another label of animal. And the way that we do this is by doing another colon and then typing the new label name. And we could keep on doing this for other labels as well. Let's just leave it at cat and animal, however. We can also do a return if we give this a variable name. So let's do cat, return cat. So we're going to see the node that we've just created being returned to us. And you'll notice down, if we click it, you'll notice down here we have the labels animal and cat. Lastly, we can add properties to a node that we're creating. So the way that we do this is we do the curly braces just like we would do in the match clause, and we put in the properties here. So if we want sound, meow, eats, birds, and let's go and return our cat. And then if we have a look in the rows view, we'll see that it has those properties, eats and sound. And so that's it for creating nodes. Next up, we're going to be expanding on this, seeing how we go about creating the relationships between the nodes.